At the age of 72, many people believe life is about sticking to old routines, slow mornings, quiet afternoons, and familiar comforts. But Mrs. Alice proved that any day, at any age, can be the beginning of something new. She lived in a small home in Asheville, North Carolina, surrounded by vibrant flowers and fresh mountain air. Since her husband passed and her children started their own families, Mrs. Alice spent most of her days tending her little garden, reading books, and exchanging brief conversations with neighbors. But over time, she began to feel a small emptiness, a longing to do something new, something that would make her feel alive and learning again. One afternoon, while flipping through television channels, she paused at a program about painting. The images of elderly people holding brushes, carefully creating colors and forms on canvas, moved her. She thought to herself, why not try? The thought excited and scared her at the same time. At 72, were her hands still steady enough? Were her eyes still sharp enough to distinguish subtle shades? But then she asked herself, if I never try, I'll never know. The next morning, with cautious curiosity, she searched for an art class for seniors in her area. And there it was, a community painting class every Wednesday morning. On her first day, she arrived at the class with slightly trembling hands and a heart full of nerves. The room was filled with warm sunlight, the scent of fresh paint, and gentle chatter. The young teacher greeted her with a kind smile and said, Mrs. Alice, here we don't strive for perfection. We aim for joy in creating. She chose a seat by the window, picked up a brush for the first time in over 50 years, and hesitantly made her first strokes. The lines were shaky, the colors uneven, but with each brush stroke, her confidence grew. The canvas slowly filled with color, not perfect but alive with feeling. That day, she returned home with a smile she hadn't worn in years. The entire afternoon, she couldn't stop thinking about painting. The next morning, she woke up early, plucked a bright yellow daisy from her garden, placed it on the table, and tried to paint it. Soon her mornings transformed. No longer repetitive, they became opportunities to paint something new. A bird flying past the window, a vase of flowers on her table, or even a single autumn leaf resting on the porch. Learning a new skill after 70 didn't just keep her occupied, it breathed fresh energy into her spirit. Every time she held a brush, she wasn't thinking about age. She was thinking about color, shape, and life expressing itself on canvas. Of course, it wasn't always easy. There were days when she felt frustrated, when the colors didn't blend right or her hands shook. But she remembered her teacher's words, not perfection, just joy. And she continued. One day, the class hosted a small exhibition showcasing the students' paintings. For the first time, Mrs. Alice stood before her own frame painting on the wall. Around her were smiles, kind words, and genuine admiration. Someone asked, "When did you start painting?" She smiled softly and replied, "At 72. Her classmates became new friends. They encouraged one another, laughed at happy accidents on the canvas, and shared warm moments of creativity. But the spirit of trying something new didn't stop at painting. Mrs. Alice found herself learning new recipes in the kitchen, joining a local pottery class, and even participating in the neighborhood book club. One day during a visit, her daughter remarked, "Mom, you seem younger lately." And Mrs. Alice knew that while her body may still show signs of age, her spirit was young, rejuvenated by curiosity and the joy of learning. Mrs. Alice's story is proof that it's never too late to start something new. Age is just a number. What matters is asking yourself, why not? And daring to step out of your comfort zone. If you're listening to this story and have ever thought you're too old to begin learning something new, whether it's painting, playing an instrument, cooking, or any other skill, remember, each day is a fresh opportunity to discover. There are no limits to learning. When we allow ourselves to be curious, to try, to make mistakes, and to enjoy the process, we not only gain new abilities, but also keep our hearts and minds young. Thank you for listening to Mrs. Alice's story. If you enjoy inspiring stories and practical tips for living well after 60, don't forget to subscribe to Aging Gracefully. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we'll explore more small journeys that bring great joy to life every day.